Hi, everyone. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Kayla.
It's early in your world, isn't
It
it?
is. It
It
is.
is.
It is.
Yes. Thank you for being awake so early for us today. I appreciate it because you are in the Bay Area in California. Is that right?
I'm actually in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, how did I not know that? But I don't know. I don't know why I was thinking Bay Area. Okay.
It's all good.
Okay, thank you. I even know that. I just reread your bio, so I know that. Okay, so everyone, welcome to this episode of How She Did It. In case you are first time tuning in, I'll let you know that I'm Kayla Jetta. I am one half of Rise Leadership Circle. And Lisa and I put together 10 expert interviews of women that you are going to want to meet. And Nicole Tsong is our guest today. She is a woman that you're going to want to know. I will tell a little bit about Nicole, but I will allow her to really share who she is. And the intention of our conversation today is to peel back the curtain and look behind the scenes of how she did it. How did Nicole make and leverage and be in relationship with money to really build the business and the life that she wanted? And Lisa and I wanted to have this conversation because we feel like money is often a taboo topic, but it doesn't need to be. And I know that Nicole has is in this arena too of saying like we actually get to talk about money. So that's what we want to do today. So what I want you to know about Nicole is that she is an incredible human. She helps high achieving women of color identify their calling and live into it. Her third book, 24 Ways to Move More, just came out. And I mean, there are so many facts around Nicole that would continue to blow your mind, like the fact that she's taught yoga for more than a decade, including 3 years at the White House Easter egg roll, which is pretty fun since we just celebrated Easter. She is an award-winning journalist, and she loves hiking with her pup. So, Nicole, what else should people know about who you are in this world?
It's funny because I was thinking of preparing a little bit mentally for this conversation, and I was thinking people must assume that entrepreneurs are natural risk takers, and I just want you to all know that I'm not. Like I'm not, and it's like I think that there's a misconception around that, and I don't know why I feel like this audience needs to know that, but I'm not actually a natural risk taker.
Awesome. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That is a great like bonus thing to share to have people understand like, you know, yeah, it's what you always think entrepreneurship is might not be the case. And that's helpful to know for the people that are like, yeah, I'm really trying to grow this business or make my dream happen, but I'm not a natural risk taker. So can I do it? And you're saying, like, I'm proof that yes, you can.
Yes, absolutely. Like I feel like I've always been someone who likes comfort and security in all areas of my life, and entrepreneurship has really helped me sort of see what that's about and dig into it a little bit more, because I think that's a lot of what gets in the way for women around money is like you want a cushion or you want things to be a certain way or you want to trust what you see in your bank account no matter how much is actually in there. And then for myself, like a big piece of the growth has been understanding how I feel about risk and comfort and security and moving myself through a lot of those things so that I can actually have what I want to do, which is this business.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. Will you share what was your experience like leaving your full-time job and becoming a full-time entrepreneur, knowing that you're not a natural risk taker?
Totally. Well, I had two stages. So first I left, I was working at a newspaper at the Seattle Times. So first I left to teach yoga. So that was like my first leap outside of like that comfort zone area. And then as a yoga teacher, I never really identified as an entrepreneur, even though I worked for myself. Like I just sort of thought of myself as an independent contractor and I was in the hustle for a long time. And then at some point I really maxed out on that and I realized there was more that I wanted to do. And I also really saw there was an opportunity within entrepreneurship that I just never really personally found when I was a full-time yoga teacher. So there was a couple of leaps I had to take. First was like leaving, the healthcare and the 401k from the newspaper. And then on top of it, when I was actually in that level as a yoga teacher of really not making enough and never being totally happy with that, and also I think ultimately for myself, and I know this, is that I was really called to do something different. Like I work with people on purpose, and mine has shifted a few times over my career. And so first it was really around yoga, and then in yoga I really saw that what I was best at was developing people and really helping people find their calling. And then it required me to go all in on my business, which was like a weird thing because people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. I put up a website right? And then it was like, okay, now I'm all in. And there was like a long trajectory and pathway of like, what does that mean? And I had yoga as a little bit of a cushion for myself in that transition. And it's sort of funny to think about back then what it took. People are like, what does it take? I'm like, well, you launch a website and then you have to really start being on a journey.
Mm, thank you. Will you
Mhm.
share a little bit what your journey with money was like? Like, had you saved so that you knew you had a big cushion to live on, or were you making it as you went?
Well, the first time when I left the paper, I did have a big cushion that was helping me. And then I had a lot of classes sort of set up. So I knew I could make it in that way. And then becoming an entrepreneur, I was married at the time. And so that helped me with the cushion as well. It's like, okay, I knew that we would be fine. We could pay the mortgage and live and eat because I could rely on my husband for that first period. And then, actually, it was a year and a half ago that we separated. And then that was actually when my real money journey began because I had to really rely on my business and myself completely to get my life, to like keep my life, to keep my house, to go on vacation, to take care of my dog, like all of those pieces really, that was what I would say pushed me into the, okay, you better get your stuff together around money.
Okay, this is beautiful. I have two questions. I'm going to go one path first and we'll circle back then.
Sure.
So I know that also about a year and a half ago, you started or continued to make some big investments in yourself. And I'm wondering if you can
Mhm.
speak into that because so commonly I hear that if someone's in an experience where their finances are changing, like they're going through a
Mm.
separation or they're leaving their job and they're like, I can't count on the income that I've been counting on. It's kind of like, I'm going to like batten down the hatches. And you did the opposite. So that's really interesting. Will you share about how you leaned into investing during that time?
Sure. Well, I was at a phase right when we separated where I actually was trying to pay off a bunch of business debt and I had just kind of gotten there. And then it was that period of like, I don't want to do that again. Like I had, paid for some coaches and some work that year, but my business hadn't really taken off to the point where it was easy. And then and so I was like, okay, I'm going to go it alone. And it was fine. I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but it was fine. And then there was this period I was clear. I was like, if I really want to leverage and build this business and scale myself to a different degree, I've really got to dive in with a coach who can help me get there. And that's when I hired a coach that we both share in common, Mel Farr. And I really went in with a mastermind. And it was a big investment, but I was like, I knew that on my own, I was just going to like be plugging away, never quite feeling super confident in it. And it would always pay the bills enough, but not get me to that next stage.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So it was a time to really trust yourself and count on
Mhm.
yourself to say that I can figure this out. And while it might feel better to just like let me wait until my business is growing, I know that what will support me to grow my business faster is to be supported.
Yes, totally. And it made oh my gosh, I ended up working with Mel for 9 months and oh my gosh, blew my mind. It just like it's sort of an interesting thing being on the receiving end because like I'm not a business entrepreneur. Like I don't support women in business. I support them really in their calling. And then to be on the receiving end of a lot of people talking to you about how to grow your business or what that is. And there was something about Mel. I had been following her for a while. And then that really helped me to see what I didn't know. Like I think that's the thing about coaching, especially with the business arena. It's like you don't know what you don't know. Like I knew I needed some help, but I didn't realize the magnitude of help that I really needed. It was a game changer for sure.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
then the other thing that you spoke into that I want to circle back is so the first time when you left your job at the Seattle Times to become a yoga teacher, you were married and you're like, so we were in a partnership and I knew I had some
Mm-hmm.
income. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if you can speak into that because another common thing that I hear is women saying, like, well, I feel guilty if I am allowing myself to be like, have my husband support me. They feel like I'm bad or wrong if I am taking the leap for myself right now.
It's an interesting thing with partnership, I think in general, because my leap was really moving from yoga teaching, was sort of like a steady stream, but never really making a lot into entrepreneurship, which then took like a dive, right? So like then my income took a dive for a little while and really having to talk to my husband about it and say, hey, like this is something I really want to do. It's important to me. And I wouldn't say we were always on the same page around it, but he did understand. I think the challenge was that I was never really making a lot. So if I kept doing that, I was never going to really make any change. And he did understand that. And his support that first year was invaluable around it. And I would say, looking back on it, I realized for myself, part of what was going on is I realized after we separated, I had this belief that I couldn't really make money in a partnership. And that was a really interesting thing to see for myself, because actually the separation forced me to see that like sort of an old pattern that was going on that I had gotten from my parents, where women don't really make money in a partnership. Right. And so now I feel like it's really interesting because I get to be, and I, in my next partnership, I get to be like a powerhouse around these things, instead of being like, oh, I rely on you and your income, and I'll just like kind of make, supplemental income and never really make a ton. Whereas now I'm like, oh no, we're going to make a lot.
Yes, I love hearing that. Okay, so your shift, it sounded like maybe it was even a little easier. Like, well, it's okay if I like leave my job and don't make as much because that's what I was used to. Where now you've really had a shift of like, both of us get to generate anything that feels good to us. And what feels good to me is to make a lot. So here I come.
Yes, basically. Yeah.
That's really fun. What do you wish that every entrepreneur knew about investing in their business?
There is always, at every time I've done it, so I've hired, a few coaches over time. There's always that moment where you really know that you need help. There's just always that moment you need help. I've been like sort of without a particular coach for a couple of months. And so I've been okay for this time, but I know it's going to come again soon, where I'll be like, it's really clear that I just need that help for that next level. Sometimes it's around money. Sometimes it's around scaling my business. Like I need more strategy and background and like that. And it's really interesting because like my first coach really helped me with the money piece, like just sort of charging higher prices. My next coach helped with foundations. And then my third coach really helped me with scaling. And so when you start to look at it, like there's always a coach you need at a certain time at where you are in your business, and they show up, and then you have to really trust it, right? Because it's not, in terms of investment, like it's the biggest investment you can basically make in terms of your business is a coach. And every time I do it, I'm like, oh, thank God I did that. Like, it's just so smart. It's such a relief. It's relaxing. Like, I actually do a lot with self-care. And I was talking about this, like, so my dog, you probably heard her in the background. She was struggling a little bit with some anxiety on walks. And I was like, I just need to hire her a dog trainer. And I've been calling her a dog coach because I've relaxed. Like now we have a strategy, we have a plan. She's been giving me tools I didn't have before. And all of a sudden I feel like there's a good pathway for her to like be better. And I think that's just true of anybody in general. And I think a lot of women, self-care or working on yourself, and like they don't remember that asking for help is a huge part of that. And because I know every time I have help or a coach, whether it's business or personal, I just can relax into knowing somebody's helping me with a pathway, and that pathway is going to get me somewhere I couldn't get on my own. And so I always want people to know that, you think you can do it on your own, and sure, but if you're going to be on this constant struggle, that's going to be worse. Like you're going to feel so stressed and anxious about your business, rather than actually having somebody who can help you relax into it and then actually help you see the pathways that you want to go forward and growing and developing your business.
Amazing. And then let's speak a little bit more. Okay, so that's like why investing in a coach is so valuable, but there are so many ways we can invest as entrepreneurs, either just in as humans, like what you said, investing in support of a dog coach helps you be a better, more relaxed human and a better dog mom. And then you can show up for your work differently. And there's a lot of ways we can invest in our business. So what about someone who's just feeling like they have to kind of lone wolf in all the areas? They're like, I have to do all the behind the scenes work and I have to do all the house stuff myself, because she has this, this guilt around like something you just ran a summit on is own your worth. And a lot of times it's like, if I'm not at a particular level in my business, then I'm not worthy of having the support I want in any area.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my biggest things on guilt is a block, right? Guilt blocks you from being able to do anything that you need, whether it's support in your personal life. And some people like having somebody to clean your home or help you with the groceries or whatever is important. A lot of times for me, I had a block for a while around getting a virtual assistant, and then really handing off like a lot of that back end work so that I could be in my own gifts and greatness. And I think sometimes too, and I actually really got called on this in our mastermind of like, I was just doing all this back end stuff and it was taking up lots of time, and it made me think I was really productive, but it wasn't really where I shine in my business, right? So then I had to get over and be like, oh, this is also an investment, and valuing myself. And that's such a, I feel like that's a lifelong progression, owning your worth, Kayla, because you have to, every time, I always say this to my clients, like we have to get to that level of owning your worth enough to say starting your business, to knowing what your dream is, to actually having your vision. But then there's that level of owning your worth to be like, okay, now I'm like, my business is worth this, and I have to keep I'm in a new challenge, and then owning your worth around charging higher prices or scaling your business or doing whatever it is and putting yourself out on a bigger stage over and over again requires you to constantly look at it and say, okay, I can do this, and shifting yourself up. And it's a that's why I think it's a lifelong journey, but that's why I love entrepreneurship, because it's constantly showing you where you're like twitching at the edges and you're not totally clear, and then you're like, okay, got to address that now, and now I'm going to move right. It is like its own development within your business, which I think is why it's so fun.
Amazing. So fun. Okay, so if you opened up your bank account today and found that a bonus $2,000 just hit your business bank account, how would you use that to invest in you personally or your business?
How would I use it? I would use it to generate more leads for my business. Yeah, lead generation is, I think, an undervalued thing often as a new entrepreneur. Like, you just really, whether it would be ads or throwing another series or something like that, but doing something to really bring more people into the business. And this is where I think it's so important, because I've done so much work to value myself. Like, I know what I offer is amazing. And so it would be more about getting more people to be exposed to what I do.
I love that. Yeah, allowing other people to be exposed to the possibility of what can happen for them when they decide that they get to own their purpose and be supported by you in that journey is really fun.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who don't know, Lisa and I right now have the applications open for our Rise Up Ripple Out grant. And I partly asked Nicole around the $2,000 because what we're doing is giving away 5 $2,000 no strings attached grants. And so it truly is money that hits your bank account if you are selected as one of the winners that you get to use in any way that really supports you or your business growth. And so maybe for some people, it's like, I've been doing a lot of this work pro bono and this gets to be a paycheck for me. Or maybe it's like, this is the time when I'm going to invest in lead generation and trust myself to scale on that next level, or bring on a teammate and know that you can cover that salary for a month or two. Or maybe it's like, I get to pay some basic bills or pay off debt so that I can keep having the confidence to keep going with myself. So you can apply for that grant, and the link is in the caption of this video so that you can go ahead and apply for that grant. Nicole, what would you say to the woman who's like, should I apply for that? Or like, maybe someone else should have that money. I don't know if I can have that.
Oh, you should have it. If you feel any desire in your heart at all that you need the money, I'd be like, go get the money. You know what I mean? One of the big practices, I'll say this, I've been taking a couple of prosperity wealth courses the last couple of months, is learning to receive. And like, really, truly learning to receive what's being given to you. And the only way to receive, though, is apply. And I'm going to just take it really quickly through this, because like yesterday, I decided to stand in line for a surplus vaccination. And yesterday I got it, right? And so then it's like that, though. It's like I had to take the action of going there to wait for it to get it, right? And the same thing is true of $2,000. Like, you have to apply to actually be in the way the universe works and the abundance of the universe. You have to actually say, yes, I want it. And that's the only way you're actually going to get it, right? It doesn't work where I'm just going to sit around and wait for it. I'm actually going to ask for it, right?
So
and
true.
then I get to have it.
I'll hear people say like, well, I will say, did you apply for this? Well, I didn't, because I would never get it. Well, of course you would never get it if you're not applying. And
Right.
And we don't know, like, maybe when you raise your hand and physically apply for this, maybe you'll be the winner, or maybe the abundance comes in a different route, because energy out is energy in. And so if you raise your hand and let the universe know, I'm here and available and open for this, then it comes in whatever the easiest form it is for you.
Totally. I love it. Persistence. And that's another thing, entrepreneurs, you have to be persistent. And so to me, this application and the whole grant make, which is so amazing and generous, that you have to be persistent. And maybe you don't get it this time, but they'll do it again. And then you just keep doing it, right? Like, that persistence is super key to being a powerful entrepreneur. And so if you're hesitating, here's a way to start practicing persistence, because you're going to need it in spades to run your business.
Thank you, Nicole. This has been really fun. I'm so grateful for you just going behind the scenes and sharing with us how money was for you, what your journey was like. It's valuable to hear the experiences of other people and just have any shared experiences and see maybe that where there's a place for us to lean in more. So I really appreciate you walking your talk. Where can people find you? They can get your book where? Let us know.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm at NicoleTsong.com. It's TSONG, and that's Nicole Tsong Coaching. That's my business. Come in, check it out. And then my book is 24 Ways to Move More.com. It has its own website. You can go check it out and order a copy. And it's really around how movement actually helps you discover your purpose and you stay connected to your calling. So if you're looking for that persistence muscle to grow stronger, that book is awesome for it.
Amazing. Thank you, Nicole. So go follow Nicole, get her book, apply for the grant, raise your hand, let us know that you are available to receiving more, and leave a comment. Let us know what resonated for you. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Kayla.
Bye.